Alright, what is going on, people of the internet, and welcome back to the episode of Ark Max Speed, and this time we're taking a look at the Dunkleosteus. Now, this was just added into the game. It was actually promised for us a little while ago. I mean, it was supposed to come out in the patch that introduced Breeding 2.0, and I don't know if that patch included really anything. It was supposed to come out maybe a week ago, and then even again, it was supposed to be released 12 hours ago, and we've only got it just now about, pretty much. So the Dunkleosteus, there's no command to summon it in right now. I actually tested some of my own, but I couldn't get anything to work, so I'm sure that'll come out shortly, probably in a couple weeks or so. And the admin command menu hasn't been updated, so the mod to use to summon things in hasn't worked, so I had to go around the map, and it took me about half an hour to find one of these guys, because they're pretty rare. I mean, I'm sure doing a wipe of the creatures would certainly help their spawning numbers, because if you've ever played on a server where you had to update yourself manually, maybe a non-dedicated one, maybe a dedicated one that you hosted yourself, you probably noticed before that when you have to update to a new patch, it takes you a little while to find those dinos because there's already slots filled out and the ocean already had creatures spawned in. So of course when we spawned in the Dunkleosteus here, it was going to take itself a little while to actually spawn into the map because we didn't spawn it in, it had to naturally occur, and if that was going to be the case, we had to make sure that it had room for it to spawn in. So it was rare for me, it might not be too rare for you, but we got a decently leveled ones here, so we can kind of get a figure for what the levels are. It's about 2/3 exactly of what you can expect out of the Dunkleosteus. Now, I'm going straight for the surface because I want to get a look of what this thing really looks like. I mean, you can see it underwater, it's huge, it's bigger than a Megalodon, and it's got gigantic jaws, which is really, really cool. And I did a lot of research on the Dunkleosteus before I even ever played Ark, just because it's such a cool creature. I mean, its bite is so strong. I mean, it's stronger than pretty much any other dinosaur, and it was before the dinosaur's time. It may have been, it's at least before the Cretaceous period. But the thing that's really cool about the Dunkleosteus is that its bite down, while it's lethal, is opening its mouth is equally devastating to its prey, because the Dunkleosteus, of course, when it opens its mouth, because it's one solid bone that is its headpiece, pretty much. Its jaw is one solid bone, so when it opens it, it snaps it open at such high force because of the readings that they were able to do on the body of the Dunkleosteus that it actually sucks in anything in front of it. So when it opens its mouth, it snaps open and it creates a vacuum where everything that's just in front of it that was maybe going to outrun it a second ago is now getting sucked into its mouth, which is just now a black hole of nothing. And then it's able to chomp down and bite through pretty much anything. So that is pretty cool, and I really like the Dunkleosteus for that. Now, the only issue with it is extremely slow. Now you can see here, 2k health and 230 melee damage. The melee damage pretty much expected. You could probably assume you're going to get maybe 300% from a perfect tame, and from health-wise, you'll probably get about 27 to 3,000. Or 2,700 to 3,000, rather. The weight is also quite good at 1,100. Of course, this is going to be a stone-gathering creature. We've read that from the dossier. I'm going to go ahead and type in the ghost command. It's not going to really do anything for me here. I mean, it's not going to make it any faster, but you can see the max speed is quite good already. I mean, there's no complaints on my end about how fast this thing is. Its animation's a bit strange, but you can see here I go right through this Megalodon, no issue, and you actually go through the ground with the ghost command. I don't manage to turn it off, even though I really tried to, but it's not going to have any effect on really anything. So I'll show a bit later in this video about how the Dunkleosteus is performing in the water and how it is going to be useful for a tribe. Like, I'm trying to make the case here as to whether or not you're going to want one of these, and they're not really something that you want on a single player. I mean, if you like them, that's cool, and you should definitely go for one. But I don't really see there being a use for them for a single player tribe. I mean, if you're playing with yourself and maybe 3 or 4 other friends, you're probably not going to need one of these guys, because a metal pickaxe will do the same job, essentially. But you can see here, they're more of a hit and run for oil here. But they're definitely a raiding creature. And for that purpose, you're probably going to want to pump health rather than movement speed, though they are extremely slow. Now, if you're fighting somebody who has an underwater base, however rare those may be, they are certainly the case. And if you get a modded map such as something like the Center or Valhalla, where they have underwater pockets where you can build, having the Dunkleosteus would be very beneficial to you. So it's mainly because, you'll see later in the video here, it can damage stone, which is pretty cool. I mean, the fact that the Giga can damage stone, I don't really like, namely because metal is so hard to come by. And if you're a small tribe, building a metal base isn't exactly something that you can really do feasibly. So when you have the Giga that is already so overpowered that can damage stone to your stuff, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense, because it's already so strong. Why would you give it another thing to be useful for? Why don't you just give that to the the Doedicurus, the Ankylo, and say, all right, well now the Giga's not quite as overpowered, and in its midst we have the the Ankylo or the Doedicurus that has now received a buff from that, and they become more useful, and you can see different things in rating, and it becomes more technical, and the metagame changes. And I really think that would be something that would be beneficial to Ark at this point. Seeing how other dinosaurs could be more useful. Maybe the Trike gets its own ability as like a battering ram that can do massive amounts of damage in short bursts. To wooden caliber stuff, maybe you could have the Ankylo or the Doedicurus damage stone, or you could have something like the T-Rex gets more of a boost from being around. I don't know. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, that one. I didn't really think that one through, but the other ones definitely have a place in the game. Now, the Dunkleosteus, you can see here, I'm summoning in a stone fence, or stone foundation. You'll see how I get that here. It took me a little while to find it for whatever reason, but it's there. And so I'm going to go ahead and give myself one of these and 2 or 4 walls. And then I'm just going to, basically what I have to do is, I have to place these on the ground, and then from there I just have to pretty much, well actually it takes a little bit longer than that actually, because the Dunkleosteus does run away from me, and I'm not sure what really happened. I think the ghosting gives it a bit of a weird glitch, where I can't see the name of the Dunkleosteus anymore, and I feel like I might have unclaimed it by accident, but that is not the case, luckily, and we're going to get it back right here. Now, what I have to do is, because I've got Megalodons around me, I just didn't figure it was worth getting those Megalodons to attack and having to kill it, because the Dunkleosteus doesn't have the greatest damage output. Of course, this can be blamed for having a lower level than Forcetame and having no points invested into it, but it's not spectacular. It's not something you jump on and feel like, yeah, I can probably conquer Ark with this. It's one of those things that you feel like it's okay, it can hold its own in pretty much any fight that it'll get into, but it's not something that you can really count on a day-to-day basis. So you can see here we got Plesiosaurs attacking, and I'm just going to ignore them because I'm on God mode, my Dunkleosteus is on Ghost and God mode, and they're not really of concern to me at this moment in time. So, what I have to do here is I have to unclaim the Dunkleosteus, leave the tribe, create a new one, reclaim it, and then the structures belong to a different tribe than myself, and the Dunkleosteus is free to attack it as he pleases. So, what I'm going to do here is, because you can't actually leave the tribe for whatever reason, I have to kick myself from it, which is strange, but oh well, I'm not going to question it. And the Megalodons have turned on my Dunkleosteus for whatever reason. So, now that I'm ready to leave this tribe, I'm just going to go ahead and kick myself right here. So, not right here? Okay, that's cool too. Alright, let's try that. There you are. Go ahead, kick yourself, create a new tribe, and we're going to reclaim this Dunkleosteus, and then we're just going to finish off this last remaining Megalodon. Not too much of an issue. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to roll around to the stone, and we're going to just see if there is that typical little puff of smoke and that little noise that it makes. And there is, of course, that. So that is very good, and it proves that the Dunkleosteus can actually damage stone. The damage is very low, but you can whistle it to attack it, and if you had 3 or 4 of these guys in a raid underwater, you'd probably be able to take out any stone base in a bit of time. It would take a little while, but it would certainly be a viable option. Anyway, that's going to pretty much do it from us. Thank you for watching. If you've got suggestions for future episodes, you can leave in the comments, and the Survival of the Fittest video should be out maybe tomorrow or the day after that, and I'm really looking forward to that because I had a lot of fun with that match. Anyway, go ahead and leave anything you want in the comments, and hope to see you in the next episode. And thanks for watching. Peace. That's a pretty good one, actually. I'm pretty happy with that. Bye-bye. Can I make the justification for a max speed build? Well, I mean, if you're using admin commands to give yourself an alpha raptor, why not? It's fast enough that it can shrug off anything at this point. I mean, there's nothing in the game wild that can keep up with it. And it's got so much health and it does so much damage. That's pretty evident right here, so go for it. Give yourself a max speed alpha raptor. You've earned it. You've played Ark and you've built a $2,000 PC to run it, so what are you supposed to do to fight this thing?
Did it fix it? If not, How To Basics got a lot of explaining to do.